Okay, today I'll be going over the fundamental truths of reality and why we live in a virtual reality and what virtual reality really means. And in simple terms, a reality of virtue, moral excellence, goodness, and righteousness. Now, this will be my last video for a bit of time because I'm very busy with life. But other than that, and I'm going to be going over what the collective consciousness means and what the rise of the collective conscience truly means. So let's get straight into it. Simply, so Satanists have, gave us this perception that we live in like a simulation, which is false. And then they tell you that virtual reality is this bullshit right here, when this is nothing but a visual reality. The reason why we live in a virtual reality is because this reality was created by an all good being, what people would call God, the soul, supreme being. But reality itself, existence itself, was created in goodness. Everything is in a fair moral order. So we live in a virtual reality, which is an existence that's based on virtue. And what is virtue? Moral excellence, goodness, righteousness, you know? And they even tell you right here that it's effective force, power, or potency. Virtue or moral excellence, righteousness, is the most powerful energy that you can or that exists, to be honest. And nature isn't aligned with a good order and all these things, but you have to understand the fact that Satanists have monopolized and completely destroyed nature, completely created bioengineered species and things of that nature, and giving the illusion that the world is unfair and harsh and that you need to kill in order to survive, but it's a complete fucking lie. It's all to make you think that we live in a vicious reality when that's simply not true. And God, well, God itself, as we can see from the definition, the origin of the word God comes from good. Word history and origins. Origin of good. Middle English, good. God. Old English, God. Dutch, God. So it's really a play on words. And to be good is to be godlike. And what does good mean? Morally excellent, virtuous, righteous, poets. But goodness itself, or to be good, does not mean being good part time. It means being good all the time and to everyone, but also maintaining discipline and boundaries. Do not give yourself up to wickedness. You do not have to give your energy to people who do not respect it or appreciate it. So people have this perception that being good means giving up yourself for anyone no matter what. No, that's not true. Being good, virtuous means being strong, principled, but still having goodwill towards others. You you do not want to give yourself up to people that are mistreating you, disrespecting you, and overall, because dealing with wickedness is ultimately a net negative, because wickedness itself is self-defeating and it thrives off of illusions, deception, and just people, yeah, just people tolerating it. That's what keeps it alive and thriving. But other than that, yeah, goodness, the state or quality of being good, moral excellence, virtue, kindly feeling. So, and we all know what it means to be good. It means to be fair. Good means being fair or sticking to moral principles at all times. We know what that is. They even talk about it in theology and esoteric and occultism and shit. Theological virtues like salvation, grace of God. That's not really it. Faith, hope, kinda. but it's really the cardinal virtues: prudence, which is discipline and use of reason; justice, which can be summed up as fairness; fortitude, which is obviously courage and willingness to confront, agony; the willingness or having the courage to face your own faults, take accountability for your past actions, and be able to heal from those things and become a better individual. Because most people are actually cowards. They're scared to face the truth about themselves, so they ignore it and suppress it and continue to move in wickedness, thinking that it's going to work out in the long run, but it doesn't. And then temperance, obviously, self control, because you need to do that. You need to have mental and emotional control in this world for all that. Now, when it comes to the collective conscience, right? Let me find it. Or let's talk about spirituality real quick. So, most people, spirituality is religious terminology, it is a religion. And what is spirituality based on? Spirituality is based on morality. Morality is inherent, it is natural, it is intrinsic within our own conscience, mind, and discoverable through reasoning. God bestowed morality in your being upon the existence of your spirit, or not even spirit, your consciousness itself automatically comes with this shit. Which is why when you're born, Satan has made sure that you were born, or that you incarnated into a world that completely distorts your perception of right and wrong. That's why the world is evil, because most people who are alive right now have just not awakened to it. They submitted to the evil. They accepted it like pussies instead of going against it. Unfortunately, but because Satan is know that all true power comes from virtue. I already showed you the definition of it, right? True effective force power. It has the ability to manifest, and manifest does not mean just living in fantasy and it just shows up. No, manifestation also includes taking action. You still must do the things that you need to do in order to manifest the things that you want or have what you want. But that's what the fuck it means. It's we can show it right here. Just when I read these two, one of them's gonna make sense and the other one's gonna be open-ended nonsense. Morality refers to principles concerning the distinction between right and wrong, or good and bad behavior, which is common. We all know that. Often based on social norms or cultural values. Now let's look at spirituality, what it says. Spirituality, on the other hand, is about a sense of connection to something larger than oneself, often involving the belief in a higher power or spiritual dimension beyond the physical world. What the fuck does that mean? What does it mean? It's just open ended bullshit. It's just all to confuse you, right? It's all a play on words. All religions, everything is based on morality, but it's just a twisting or distortion. Even the legal system is a distortion of morality. If you really look at the laws, which I haven't made a video on it. I'm probably gonna make a video in the future on it. Well, obviously I am, but when you actually go through the laws, the American treaties, the international treaties, you realize that morality is known by them. They just completely try to make you forget. They basically teach you a whole bunch of nonsense so you can forget the true nature of your consciousness, because that's what we are at the core: consciousness that incarnates into physical vessels. And our thoughts and feelings influence our biology, because the physical realm is an experience, right? The highest dimension there is the moral dimension. The moral dimension is a realm of thought. It's just a way of thinking, a way of feeling, a way of perception. It's a certain perception that you reach. That's what a plane of existence is. When you think morally, you think righteously, you will feel good, you will feel better, and you will naturally act better, and you will be able to perceive because your perception is based on your thoughts and feelings, and that creates this perception of reality that allows you to see in that plane or realm or space or reality. Is that simple. Now, what about the rise of the collective consciousness or spiritual awakening? Well, I'm gonna get into it right now. So, when they say the collective consciousness, it's because every being in existence has a conscience, except AI and any artificial being. But for the most part, anything that can reason, that's organic, has a conscience. And the only difference between a soul and a spirit, in my opinion, is that the soul is the source of life. It is the creator, it is the God, it is pure conscience. And then you have the spirit, which is conditioned conscience, which the soul or God created because there needs to be diversity in the universe in order for it to work in harmony or be a balance. And so everything can work together for the better. Because if everything in the world was the same, then there would be, if everyone was the same being and everything was the same, there's no point you can experience. You get the gist. But the collective consciousness really just means the collective rise and understanding of what's right and wrong, and the collective rise and understanding of righteousness and living in righteousness and embodying righteousness. So more people are going to become righteous, not more spiritual, but righteous. Because the whole point of life is moral development. Because look right here, faculty of knowing what's right, awareness that one acts for which one feels responsible to do not conform to one's ideal of right. Later, sense of fairness, moral sense. So everyone has a sense of fairness. It's just been distorted, and most of them are scared to confront all the things in the past that they did to people out of unfairness, that to the point where they just gonna keep going in line. But understand that people do know when they're right and wrong, because what does a conscience mean? Inter conscious, innermost thoughts, desires, intentions, feelings, and directly from Latin conscientia, a joint knowledge of something. So this right here, the collective conscience, because we have a joint or collective knowledge of. Well, hold on. Knowing of a thing together with another person, conscious of knowledge, blah blah, knowledge within oneself. What the fuck? Yeah, this is a better example right here. The word probably longer with knowledge. Yeah, so ultimately conscience, yeah, the sense development is perhaps via to know along with others. So to know what along with others, what is right or wrong. So everyone in the world knows what is right and what's wrong. It's just some people have gotten so used to doing wrong and then telling themselves and making excuses that it's not that bad and da 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 da, whole bunch of bullshit, that they just continue in that wicked behavior, and they go so deep in wickedness they get too scared to face themselves, so they just make the decision to just stick with wickedness for the rest of their life, even though it ain't gonna work out, which is the crazy part. To know what's right or wrong within oneself. So yeah, it also means you know what's right or wrong, and we also know what's right or wrong within our own behaviors, because that's what it means, literally with knowledge, right? I'm pretty sure there was another difference. Yeah, inner sense of what's right and wrong. So conscience also means, well, the old definition means self knowledge. So the point of life is inner development and inner growth, which they like to call spiritual growth. So, but the way to do that is through self knowledge. But how do you gain self knowledge? Well, you must learn the morality of your own being. So you must under you need to know. So to go within means to understand what you're feeling and why you're feeling, and use that information to make better judgments or make better decisions in the future. That's where wisdom comes from, knowing what, why, and then knowing when and where to apply that knowledge. So if you want to rise in your own conscious awareness, you need to understand your own thoughts, your own feelings, and understand that your thoughts and feelings are all based on morality. So you need to be reasonable with yourself. You need to be moral with yourself and understand and do things from a fair and righteous perspective and intentions. That's ultimately, this is the fundamental truths of reality. This is the fundamental truths of your goddamn consciousness, your goddamn mind, mentality, and emotions. Because you even have a thing called, hold up, moral emotions. Feelings are intuition that play a significant role in your moral judgments and behaviors, influencing how we perceive right and wrong. These these are inherent. These are basically unchangeable. You can't, like, God put morality in us to give order to existence. So your emotions are based on these things and you can't get rid of them. That's why evil people can only distort them, because even evil's dependent on the good, because evil is nothing but a distortion of the good. And that's basically what it is. Like you must align yourself with righteousness or virtue or morality, whatever you want to call it. Same shit. And once you embody it through thought and feeling, it will naturally reflect in your actions. You don't even have to think about it because it's just your nature, it's just your being. And then once you do that, you know, then that's when your life will start to get better. But it will get worse before it gets better. That's just how reality works. If you've been living and thinking wrong, well, that wrong is going to come back at you, and while you heal, and then once you finally heal, you might be at rock bottom, and then but once you're at rock bottom, the only way you can go is up. But you want to make sure that you have a righteous foundation, not just mentally and emotionally, because the problem with this world is that most people, they they misinterpret their own feelings. It's not that your intuition is wrong, it's that you're misinterpreting your intuition. Intuition is very subtle, right? When you feel something, but you don't understand what or why you're feeling it, and you just make up an irrational and you give yourself an irrational answer, well, you're doing yourself a disservice, because now you're confusing your own fucking feelings and thoughts. When you need to think about what you're feeling and what you're, yeah, think about what you feel rationally, and that's how we naturally come to the truth. And right here, religion can mean just something one believes and follows devotedly, a point or matter of ethics or conscience. Your own conscience is your religion. And the thing is, righteousness is not, righteousness is infinite in creativity and expression. So it's not the same. It's not boring. It's not lame. Everyone can be righteous and still be unique in how they express it, in their creativity, and what they, and the value they bring to the world, while remaining righteous. The highest quality of existence is when everyone in the world or the universe is righteous, because there are extraterrestrials that have been enslaved by Satanists as well. So it's not just Earth that's going through this enslavement, this immoral torture. Reason, right? Reason is the faculty or power of acquiring intellectual knowledge by understanding first principles about argument. So reason Morality is also inseparable from reason because in order for something to be reasonable, it must be fair. And in order for something to be fair, it must also be reasonable. And then you have skill, understanding, discernment. Real skill is understanding, discernment, reasonability. Because that's where it comes from. And then truth. Truth is just understanding of facts. But what you should be aligning with, like people say, seek truth, understand the truth, find the truth, live the truth. But what does it really mean? Truth is just facts, but rightness is where it's at. You want to seek rightness. You know, you want to you want to be and live in rightness. You want to be in alignment with what's morally good, justified, and acceptable, right? Not just being true, but actually being correct in behavior, in conduct, in fair. It's just a play on words. Correct. Free from error in accordance with fact or truth. Yeah, so you want to make sure that you are as reasonable or logical as possible. But even logic, even morality is inseparable from logic. Now, the problem with this world is that there's two types of logic. You got mathematical logic and then you have moral logic. God did the supreme being created moral logic, not mathematical logic. Mathematical logic is basically a Satanist created a system called mathematics. They created that system. They created the algebra, the yeah, how do I want to say this? They created they basically created the system that doesn't make sense and they called that logic. So you're following their system and they calling it logic because it is a logical based on their system, but it's not based on the natural system of life, which is the moral logic. So people think math is all about the key to the fucking universe. And that's just a fucking lie because math did not come before numbers and letters did not come before consciousness, did not come before righteousness because they are symbols. Math ain't nothing but a language, just like words. A B C D 1 2 3 4. It's a language. And languages are created by beings, right? Thoughts and emotions were created by the supreme being, the soul, the all God, whatever you want to call it, the almighty righteous king. And the truth is, if you have a soul, we are the gods and goddesses, but we have a thing called fallen god and fallen goddess. A fallen god and goddess would be people who have fallen from righteousness. Gods and goddesses would be those who embody goodness, who do the right things. Right? Even in the Bible, it says the armor of God. The person also mentioned the concept. It said, "Oh my fucking god, what's the quote?" Yeah, Isaiah 59. The Lord puts on righteousness as a breastplate, because it protects you in this world. Most people don't get to see the true miracles of this world because they don't have that righteous perception. Because good things and higher awareness only comes to those who are moral or righteous, right? And when we talk about psychic abilities, that extrasensory perception, the ability to perceive people's behaviors and words a lot more clearly and sharply, that's psychic powers are actually latent abilities or powers. They are natural. Psychic abilities are a natural consequence of moral development. So the higher you go in consciousness, conscious awareness, immorality, righteousness, the higher your perception gets, and you will naturally develop psychic powers like first empathy. Your empathy will go up, clarity, your intuition will be enhanced, Your senses will just become a lot better. You will be emotionally stable. And I'm obviously, you would assume later down the road when people become more morally excellent, they develop morally internally, telekinesis, telepathy, and all that stuff will just naturally come. But psychic powers are not the point of life. They are tools of manifestation. They are tools of righteousness, of creation. And they put it all in the movies in our faces and laugh at it. They put it in Marvel, DC. They even have whatchamacallit. Let's see, yeah, parapsychology. Even parapsychology, the study of paranormal phenomenon focused on extra mind matter, survival, conscience after death. See, they even tell you right here. All the hints have always been here, but most people just don't live it, so they can't really tell you in a way that makes sense. But these are things that only people on a journey will understand and actually be able to possess. But that's what the collective this is the fundamental truths of reality. Morality. Align your thoughts, feelings, and actions with fairness, honesty, truth, compassion, empathy, integrity, and you will naturally manifest a better life over time. You will feel better internally before it manifests externally. You have to face your fears and get rid of those fears before you can come into a peaceful existence. One that is coherent, more not just peaceful, but a coherent existence. And yeah, look, mores, custom, habit, manners, morals. This is what all religions and spiritual terminology is based on, right? I mean, it don't get any more fundamental than this in life. It really doesn't. I mean, you have to completely change how you think and everything, because everything that we've been taught is to get us away from morality. Because this is where our true power lies within. And you got motherfuckers so arrogant, they do the right thing sometimes and think that they deserve the entire fucking world. No, this is a full-time fucking thing. And the world needs to become righteous. And Satanists don't like that because they're going to get exposed and their power is going to come down. Right? Once we start exposing these corporations and governments for how immoral they operate and that they violate their own laws. Trust me, they do. I've siphoned through the fucking law for over a year. I have good shit coming up when I get my life together. They violate their own laws on a daily fucking basis. And it takes the world to stand together and stand on what's right. No, we need each other, not just need each other, but we need the goodness. We need the goodwill that's in each other. You don't need evil. You don't need nobody to survive, but we do. We all depend on goodness. We all depend on morality. We all depend on what's right and what's true. We all depend on truth and rightness, which means that we depend on individuals who express and embody truth and righteousness. And when we do, what's going to happen is the reputation of governments, corporations, and all these immoral, wicked entities will start to lose their reputation. That's the one thing they're scared of. And that's just one step closer to freedom. And once we do that shit, once we take these niggas down with righteousness, then we will be able to get our freedom back and create a world that's not based on this pyramid scheme or this false hierarchy. Right. And Best believe I got my money invested because, I got to be rich to do this shit. So I got my money invested in shit because I got to get rich. So I ain't got to worry about shit. So I could put my full focus on making sure I expose this entire system. Because once people realize how wrong they've been treated and how wrong this shit is, and once they see the light on the other side, they gonna not want to go back to this shit. Because this is supposed to be our earth. We're not supposed to be slaves. You're not supposed to be fucking submitting to evil. You're not supposed to be fucking, going without food that grows for free. There's a reason why they cut down all vegetation, all fruit trees, vegetables from the public, built roads and shit. Everywhere you go, you just see fucking trees with leaves on it. You don't see no fruit, barely any vegetables growing on public trees and public, forests and shit like that because they did it on purpose to monopolize the food that nature naturally provides, and it takes really, really, really fucked up individuals to do that shit. But this is the beginning. Bro, I'm telling you, they already lost because we ain't gonna go back, right? Good is inherently better. Well, actually, let me pull this shit up real quick. They even put it in here. What's it called? Optimism. Optimism, right? The belief that goodness pervades reality. The belief that good ultimately predominates over evil in the world. This is true because good is the foundation of the universe. It's going to prevail over evil. And even Satanists know this shit, but they put extreme hope that it doesn't work out. But their hope is useless because it's powerless. It lacks virtue, it lacks morality, it lacks moral excellence. So it isn't going to manifest. Fucking pathetic ass motherfuckers, bro. But yeah, that's what it's going to take. It's going to take for people to stop being pussies and start speaking up against this shit and remembering themselves. You got to know yourself and live conscientiously. Live under conscience. You don't need no religion, nobody to tell you what the fuck to do, right? You know that you need to live by what's fair and what's right and just do that. And when everyone does, the whole world be fucking happy. Everyone can live the best life they possibly can. But as of right now, there's a lot of fucking devils running around, right? Dev- there's a lot of devils. Uh, Damn, what the fuck? I hate this shit, bro. Bro. The funny thing is, I had a 1.9 GPA in school. I hated school. I hated reading. I hated all that shit. I hated learning that bullshit. But when it comes to truth, I'm in my motherfucking books. I never thought I'd be using a dictionary, but I use this shit every fucking day to decipher and decode the basically to decode the satanic language, the basically, yeah, to decode the language that they use against us and the terminologies that they use, and because that's the number one fucking thing that they use to trick us is words, right? So everyone assumes they know what something means, but when you look at these definitions, there's a whole bunch of different shit, whole bunch. I mean, I can go over that in a different video, but subordinate evil spirit, there's a lot of devils who hate God. What is God? Goodness. And they can hold you back in life and make you fucking hate yourself if you listen to them. So that's not what we want to do. That is not what we want to do. I mean, I'm about to just fucking ramble on. Let me see if there's anything else I need to cover up real quick. fortitude, moral strength, moral courage. This is what you need. Morality, moral qualities, virtuous conduct, thought. What else I had in this mug? What else I have? I mean, that's basically it for right now. That's basically all I need to say. We just start thinking morally. Get rid of all this bullshit that they done taught you. Morality is God's law or God's truth, God's rules for existence. You don't need nobody outside of you to tell you, and you know when you're being honest or not. You know when you're being reasonable or not, and other people know as well. And the more you think right, the more sensitive you become to rightness. The more you align yourself with what's right, the more you become sensitive to what's wrong, and you can detect the lies and wickedness in individuals a lot more intuitively, faster, and easier than you used to be when you tolerated the nonsense. But overall, yeah, this is probably one of the most important videos you ever watch. And that's it.